Homeless man, I need to seltzer in his drink. Food, thirsty in the milk. TV, Popeyes, thirsty in the seltzer. Milk, TV, in the drink. That's happy. Thirsty in the milk. Food, hungry. That's what's going on. Seltzer in the drink. Thirsty in the milk. Food, TV, Popeyes. Thirsty in the drink. TV, milk. Thirsty in the food. Drink hungry. I need to survive. Milk, seltzer. Drink hungry. That's what happens.
It's just so distressing. You know, humans can be so cruel. I mean, this guy was just asking for food and got killed for asking for food. Or at least that is the angle that I would take if I was a right-wing influencer looking to do what I do, right? Which is be dishonest. And in this case, you know, I gotta go. Well, not in this case, right? This is a general thing. Got to go opposite of whatever the left is doing, right? Left is going one way, I got to go the other way. And certainly, if you want to pick a team, you know, for profit, right? What's going to get the most engagement? I mean, you got a white Marine versus some black homeless. I'm not going to use the L word, but whatever pejorative you want to put there. I think it's an easy bet to side with the Marine. And go against a lot of the left-wing narrative about the homeless and all this kind of stuff. But the reality is, and I want you, if you guys are left-leaning, I want you to pay attention to this, right? And this is the only place that you're really going to get an honest take on this, right? The right-wing media, their goal is to simply be contrarian to whatever the left position is, right? You got to side with the Marine, you know. He's the one that stood up against this, whatever pejorative you want to put there. But I want you guys to also recognize dishonesty in the media that you consume. 1 second. So here's what I think you should look out for. And let this be sort of an opportunity for you to really learn about the people that you listen to. I anticipate that you're going to see left-wing content creators are going to make videos, and they're going to show the video that I showed you in the beginning of this video, and they're going to make statements such as, this guy was just asking for food. He got killed just for asking for food. He's on the train asking for food, asking for help, and then this guy just goes and kills him. You know, just looks at him like a piece of dirt, and he's just like, I want to kill this scumbag who's here asking for food. Like, what kind of sick individual? Recognize that that is a very dishonest argument, and consider that the person who you might like or respect chose to make this kind of an argument. Let me explain to you the flaw in the argument, how it's dishonest and misleading. You're taking a video of a time frame that is before the headlock. You don't necessarily know how much time before the headlock, right? And then you are omitting a period of time between the headlock and what you see in the video, right? In this video, you don't see the headlock, right? So there is a period of time that's missing. So to suggest that he was just asking for food and then some guy just gets up and puts him in a headlock, like, that is misleading. Like, that sounds so sick and cruel. And I'm pretty sure that that is not what happened. The critical detail that I would want to know is what immediately preceded the headlock. I don't know if it's multiple people that did the headlock or whatever it is, but before the first person put their hands on this guy, what occurred? It's possible this guy is just a lunatic, the guy who killed him, unhinged, the guy was just asking for help and he decides, oh, this guy's going to do something, and that's possible, right? But I don't know that. And unlike most people who are talking about this, I don't have a vested interest, or what's the expression, I don't have a dog in this fight, right? I'm not looking to push my agenda of how the city doesn't take care of homeless people. right? I know about that. I'm dealing with someone who apparently needs help, and they're not getting the help from the city, and they're pretty much abandoning them. So I get it, but I'm not going to use this as a tool for me to push that agenda, right? Now, if this situation is actually a situation, well, the thing about it is that if you're going to connect this to a broader message about how people with mental illnesses are dealt with in the city, that's one thing. But to be giving a dishonest take about this, talking about things you don't know, right? To pretend like the guy was just asking for food and then some guy put him in a headlock. Now, that could be the case, but we don't have evidence that that's what happened, right? I have to suggest that that's a bad faith argument, right? Most likely, something occurred, right, beyond just guy asking for food that led people to believe that they needed to make physical contact with this guy. That is the most likely situation. It's possible that this guy is just unhinged and put him in a headlock for no reason. That's possible, but I don't have evidence to suggest that he did that, right? If we had a knowledge about this guy having a violent past, or he's done things like this guy's like a violent gang member or something like that, some evidence, right? Some evidence at all beyond that he put a guy in a headlock, right? You can't use the fact that he put a guy in a headlock to come to the conclusion that he's some evil guy and he just killed this guy for no reason. The guy was just asking for food and he just jumps and puts him in a headlock. Like, that is illogical. That is a tribal response. That's like people on your side are taking a certain perspective about, oh, this homeless guy has been abandoned and the government didn't take care of him, right? And they're saying that, and then you're just joining in the choir, like, yeah, this and that. And then you're seeing right wingers that are, trying to make the Marine like a hero, and you're disgusted by that, and that's what your tribe is talking about. So you're like, yeah, these right wingers, like, that's the tribal response, right? The honest, reality based response is to look at the facts at hand. And the facts at hand is, all we know is he was having some kind of episode. We can see where he's asking for food or something. And then later at some point, we see he's put in a headlock. What immediately preceded the headlock, we don't know. And until we know that, it's difficult to come to all these radical conclusions of, oh, he just wanted to kill somebody or whatever, and he didn't even care about the homeless. Again, that could be the case, but we don't have evidence to suggest that that is the case, and that is unlikely, right? Because that would make the Marine unhinged, right? The odds of two unhinged people colliding like this, one being a Marine and one being a homeless guy, I don't think it's that likely. If it was two homeless people, that's different. You're in an environment where you have people who are having, mental conditions or whatever, but a random homeless guy and then some Marine who just happened to be on the train, both being unhinged, I don't think that's likely. It's possible, but I don't think that's likely. So I think the honest, logic-based take is that this is an actual case. Like, I know a lot of times when there's potentially an uncomfortable truth about something, I know the right wing likes to play games about, let's wait until the facts come out, right? That's something that they do. But this is a case where legitimately that's the proper stance to have. Let's wait until the facts come out. Now, some of the right wing people might be saying that, but they're also going to be like looking at this guy as a hero. I wouldn't jump to him being a hero, that he saved anything, right? Because again, I need to know the critical piece of information. What immediately preceded him putting this guy in a headlock, right? In court, he's going to have to explain this. Like, what made you think that this is the right course of action? Like, what was your thought process? So just like the courts would want to know that, I want to know that, right? Because the courts ideally are supposed to be fair, right? You get an opportunity to present your case and things like that. And I would like to operate in a manner similar to the courts, right? I want to see the evidence, and based on the evidence, I want to come to a conclusion. Now, I have no problem having an opinion about it, but the opinion needs to be based on something. So again, if I knew this guy had a track record of being violent and he's a crazy, unhinged guy, like if I had that information, I'm perfectly fine because I'm not in a court of law. I'm perfectly fine presenting my opinion and saying, I bet he did it because he looks unhinged, right? But I have no evidence whatsoever to suggest that this guy would have done something like this. So for me to just jump to, attacking him or making him a hero, that's just a tribal way to look at this. So again, I think this is one of the few times where we should wait until the facts come out, right? And don't take any position about who's a hero and who's a villain. We simply don't know enough. All we do know is that that guy needed help. I think we can agree that the system failed him for sure. But in terms of what happened on that train that led to his death, we need to know more details. The other thing is, if he did hold him in a headlock for 15 minutes, at a minimum, that was reckless and irresponsible. I would want to know more about his training. And that's what a court is going to look at, right? Should he have known better? Did he panic? Like, what was the reason for him holding him in a headlock that long? I think that is one part of the story that is problematic, because regardless of what preceded things, holding him in a headlock for that long is irresponsible at best. I would want to consider whether, and this is a court of law, right? What is a reasonable expectation of putting someone in a headlock for 15 minutes? And I know everyone will focus on George Floyd or whatever, but there is a reality that some people may not be aware of the dangers of putting somebody in a headlock. They may think it's just a headlock and they see it on TV or whatever. So, I mean, that's something that the court will have to look into. Is it reasonable to suggest that he didn't realize the risk that he was putting on this guy? And that's where the jury comes in, right? Because you have a jury of his peers, and they'll each have their perspective of whether they feel, if they were in his shoes, would they think that was dangerous what he was doing, right? So I can only speak for myself, but I know what I know. But what does the average person? I think the courts would base it on: is it reasonable? Is it a reasonable expectation for I don't know the wording I'm looking for, like an average person to expect to be able to do this and not kill someone, right? And that's based on the knowledge of the average person. Don't presume to know what everyone knows, right? Because just like PewDiePie, huge YouTuber, millions and millions of subscribers, but yet there's a ton of people who have never heard of him. It's shocking, but the reality is not everybody knows PewDiePie, right? Not everybody knows the dangers of being put in a headlock. So we would want to look into, is it reasonable to expect this Marine to have known better, right? I'd also want to know, what was the decision-making process of why did he need to maintain the headlock? Was the guy struggling, and did the guy try to hit him, and he felt like he needed to maintain this headlock for some reason? Now, obviously, you put somebody in a headlock, they're probably going to be fighting back, right? So then what do? Do you just keep them in a headlock because they're going to just keep kicking and moving around and trying to get out, hoping that they eventually settle down? I don't know. I mean, these are questions that, they're going to be presented in court. A jury's going to have to look at it and say what their thoughts are on this. But I think everyone's having kind of a tribal response to this. Picking sides. This poor homeless guy or this hero. I don't know. Let's see what comes out. This is Baby Channel. The Baby comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.
Hello,